Hello, everyone. It's Erin, Paige, and we find ourselves together once again for a GLAAL story, G-L-A-A-L, Go Live an Amazing Life. And we have Christopher Stibbs with us today, and I had an opportunity to sit with him, chat with him via Zoom, and he is going to share an absolutely amazing GLAAL story with you. So let's tune in. Christopher!
Hi, it's so good to see you.
Oh my gosh. I thought about you and I thought about the word radiant. And when I think of the word radiant, you, my friend, pop up because
Oh, I love that.
every time I see you, you just radiate so much goodness, and you're doing so much of that in our community. And I just really wanted to express before we get started here my appreciation for you and our friendship and your willingness to step into a role that really is affecting so many lives in Kansas City, which in turn we know radiates outward to other communities and beyond. So thank you for being
Thank
here.
you. Wow, what an introduction.
Well, I mean, and I should say, well, why don't you just quickly share what you do in the community and what's your position right now?
Yeah, so I'm the events and donor manager for Newhouse Shelter, which is a local domestic violence agency here in town, and we actually celebrate 50 years next year that we've been around in the community. And we're the oldest domestic violence shelter, and so we've been doing a lot over the last 49 years. But I'm the events and donor manager, so I work on all of our special events, community outreach, working with donors, and a wide range of stuff that you kind of find along the way in the nonprofit sector.
And you do it just so eloquently. So again, thank you so much. But you have a GLAAL story for us, Go Live an Amazing Life. Is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to switch the screen so it's all about you, my friend, and take it away.
Perfect. Well, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Erin, and share a little bit about my story and how I found myself in Kansas City and working for a domestic violence shelter. So I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska, and I grew up, very blessed and very fortunate in school and in life, and my parents have always provided a lot for us. But I knew at a young age that I loved people and I loved being around people and learning from them. And so I had started doing service work in the community. And I went to Catholic grade school and Catholic high school, and they do a lot of service and whatnot in the community. And so like one of the first projects I remember is being in 7th grade, and it was this weekend excursion in Omaha, and we went to different volunteer sites. And that was the first time really that I was working with a lot of people from all walks of life, all races, ethnicities, religions. They were coming from all over the city, but we were all together working in a group. And we went to these sites, and we worked with a lot of community members who were underserved or didn't have a lot of the resources that they needed, and things that I just had handed to me my whole life. Like I never had to worry about these things, and this was at the forefront of a lot of these community members' lives. So that kind of pivoted me at a point where I knew that I wanted to work in the community and be a part of it. And so I did that throughout high school, ended up coming to college here in Kansas City. And I was just so passionate about the nonprofit sector and volunteering, and didn't know that, volunteering can actually be a job in a sense. People assume I'm a volunteer, but I've made it a career working for nonprofits and being able to work with people, especially those who are not necessarily like me or haven't had the same upbringing as me. It's been a powerful experience to just be able to work with them and be a part of the community and learn that there are so many amazing people around us on a daily basis where we don't necessarily know their stories, but I've had the opportunity to hear them And so it was at Rockhurst, where I went to college, that I happened to pick up a pamphlet for Newhouse Shelter. I knew nothing about domestic violence. I was very fortunate to grow up in a home where I did not experience that. I was, in a sense, kind of a sheltered kid and just knew nothing about it. And so this concept that there were individuals in our community that we may not have known about that were experiencing this, it had this really profound impact on me, and I wanted to do something. Like, I knew I had to do something. And so I reached out to Newhouse, again, knowing nothing about them, and I submitted a volunteer application, and I got a call from someone who has become a friend of mine now, talking with me about the role and learning about volunteering and what Newhouse was doing. And I remember stepping foot into Newhouse the first time. It was my first day volunteering. I was at training and I was working the hotline, so answering calls from survivors who were seeking shelter. And I had not been in there for more than 10 minutes, like on this first shift ever. And the phone rings and the woman I'm training with says, "You've got it." And I just like pause. I'm like, what? I've been here for 10 minutes. Like, I can't answer this call. I can't answer this call. She's like, "No, you've got it. We walked through it. Go ahead and answer it." And I'm like, I like froze, and I pick it up and like, how may I help you? I was so nervous. And so I was thrown into this, and it seems like it was just yesterday, and 7 years have passed now, and I've been involved with the Newhouse for 7 years, twice working for them, and then in between being a volunteer still. And this mission that I knew absolutely nothing about, I mean, I knew nothing about domestic violence, has become a passion of mine. It's my passion, it's my mission, it's my heart right now. And it's just, I look back and I laugh a little bit, because I think back to those days where I didn't know anything. And now if you look at my social media feed, it's pretty much only Newhouse these days. So a lot has happened in the last 7 years, and I've met survivors and colleagues and volunteers and donors who are having an impact on the work we're doing, or our people we're serving. And I think it put a lot of perspective into my mind, because, as I've mentioned, I lived kind of a sheltered life. And so coming into this world, I am working with people from all walks of life. I'm learning from people. I learn from the survivors in our shelter every day. I learn from my colleagues every day when I'm talking with people in the community. And this has kind of been my uplifting moment, and a lot of moments over the years. But I'll share. I remember it was actually, a couple days before we left to be in quarantined and work from home. And I was walking through the shelter one day, and I hear, "Mr. Chris, hi." And it was one of the 10-year-olds. She's a 10-year-old girl living in our emergency shelter. And I don't work with her at all, because I'm on the administrative side and this clinical team that works with the clients, but she knows my name just from in passing and talking with residents. And so I'm like scurrying through the shelter, trying to get a million things done, like before we're working from home, completely stressed out, which, to think, that I was stressed, I'm very blessed to be in the position that I'm in. And I had this like stopping moment after she said, "Hello, Mr. Chris." And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, you know, she's living here in an emergency shelter. She's had to leave her home, but she's got this upbeat attitude, and she's smiling, and she's always laughing. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna harness that energy that she has right now, and I'm gonna move forward with it. So it was like this uplifting moment where I was like, you know what? No, this is all gonna be okay. I'm very lucky. I'm gonna continue doing my job 110%, and I'm gonna remember her when I'm out there, virtually talking to the community, or working with a donor, or asking someone for money or support. I'm going to channel that "Hello, Mr. Chris" in my mind, and remember why I'm doing what I do. And that's something that I've definitely been holding on to the last month and a half. And that's kind of been my happy moment. So that's kind of my story with Newhouse. I'm kind of all over the place, as you can tell. I love to talk, and so sometimes I'm a little scatterbrained, but
You shared an awesome story, and I love how two moments when you picked up the pamphlet and you did some reading, and with this little girl's voice, sometimes it's the little things, right, that can impact us the most. And
Yeah.
we think we're headed one way, and that one moment in time switches a totally different direction. And that's what I heard from you today. And I think others will have heard that as well. And maybe they're on a path that they need to tune into the, you know, hello, Mr. Christopher, hello,
Yeah.
those little moments. So,
Mhm.
you've warmed my heart today, my friend.
Um,
Thank you so much. It was
no, thank
just
you.
a very good reminder that living an amazing life can happen just like that, by picking up
Yeah.
something that unexpected, by hearing
Yeah.
something unexpected. And congratulations, because you were aware to recognize the impact of those moments, and you
Yeah.
are moving forward with the
Yeah.
way they impacted you. Would you
Yeah.
agree?
Yeah. I'm very lucky to have a bunch of those moments that pop up on a daily basis. I mean, I remember when I was a women's advocate, I worked sometimes the evening shifts, like 4 p.m. to midnight. And I would go downstairs and there would be some clients, sitting at the dining room tables, talking to each other. And I'd go into the kitchen and I'd get the ice cream and I'd bring out ice cream and I'd scoop everyone some like ice cream and we'd sit there and we would just talk. And
Yeah.
I had those moments where I got to just sit there and be with the residents and talk with them and laugh and tell stories. And one of the things I always tried to do in my role was, there are definitely boundaries you set when you're working in an emergency shelter and working with clients. But also, I always wanted to exude that we're all people. Like, not one of us is better than the other. And just because one person may have been in an emergency shelter and just because I may have been working at the shelter does not mean one of us is better than the other. Like, we are all humans and we're all connected and we all need to share in those moments. So I've been very blessed to have a lot of those moments over my time at Newhouse.
I I am quite sure that you are blessed on a daily basis, multiple times a day. I've been down there before, and it's really a wonderful place. And collectively, you and everyone that's part of Newhouse Shelter they're all radiant lights in the community. So thank you. A big heart to you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. It just what an impact you've made on me today. So continue radiating that light, ripple effects, and thank you so much. And
Oh,
everyone
thank you.
out there, your goal today is to pay attention to those small little moments that can shift and uh, just point you in a totally different direction. Go live an amazing life. Go GLAAL. Go live an amazing life. Thanks so much, you guys. Take
Thank
care.
you.